Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi and Chinese Premier Li Qiang stressed the urgent need for a Gaza ceasefire and rapid humanitarian aid delivery. Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli says the North Coast is now a key part of Egyptian tourism. Egypt and China's central banks signed 3 agreements to boost yuan use and improve electronic payment cooperation. Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi and Chinese Premier Li Qiang emphasized the urgent need to establish a ceasefire in Gaza and ensure the swift delivery of humanitarian assistance to the besieged enclave. During a high-level meeting in Cairo, both leaders stressed the importance of resuming diplomatic efforts for a peaceful resolution to the ongoing conflict and called for a just and comprehensive solution to the Palestinian issue. The discussion also highlighted the close strategic partnership between Egypt and China based on mutual respect and shared interests, with both sides reaffirming their commitment to regional stability. Both leaders underscored the necessity of maintaining coordinated efforts to stabilize the Middle East, including firm support for the ceasefire agreement between Israel and Iran. Egyptian Foreign Minister Badr Abdel reaffirmed support for Palestinian unity and the right to an independent state on 1967 borders with East Jerusalem as capital. Speaking with Palestinian official Jibril Rajoub, he stressed urgent ceasefire talks and humanitarian aid access in Gaza. Egypt is preparing to host a conference on Gaza's recovery after a ceasefire. Rajoub praised Egypt's mediation and aid efforts. Egypt's Minister of Foreign Affairs and Immigration Badr Abdel has held phone calls with his counterparts in Qatar, Jordan, Bahrain, Algeria, Oman, Kuwait and Morocco as part of ongoing coordination and consultations. The talks emphasized strengthening bilateral relations and joint Arab action amid current regional challenges. The ministers exchanged views on development in Gaza, Egypt's efforts with Qatar and the United States to resume a ceasefire, release detainees and ensure urgent humanitarian aid access. Abdel also reviewed preparations for Egypt to host the Early Recovery and Reconstruction Conference for Gaza once a ceasefire agreement is reached in cooperation with the Palestinian government and the United Nations. Egypt's Foreign Minister Badr Abdel has held a phone call with Eritrean Foreign Minister Osman Saleh to discuss bilateral, regional and relation issues. Both stressed the importance of expanding cooperation across various sectors following directives from President Sisi and the Eritrean President Afwerki. Abdel affirmed Egypt's full support for Eritrea's development projects and highlighted shared goals for peace and stability in the Horn of Africa and Red Sea regions. Egypt's Health Minister Khaled Abdel Ghaffar has met with World Health Organization Regional Director Hanan Balkhi on Sunday to discuss enhancing in public health and development. Talks covered joint strategies for healthcare reform, human capital development and reducing road traffic accidents. The two highlighted Egypt's progress in cancer screening, antimicrobial resistance and digital health. Balkhi praised Egypt's regional humanitarian role in efforts to localize pharmaceutical and vaccine production affirming stronger future collaboration across the Eastern Mediterranean. Egypt and Pakistan has agreed to deepen cooperation in agriculture, food security and climate-resilient farming. Egypt's Ambassador Ihab Mohammed Abdel Hamid and Pakistan's Food Security Minister Rana Tanveer Hussain discussed expanding collaboration in seed development, drip irrigation and post-harvest management. The two sides agreed to formalize ties between Egypt's Agriculture Research Center and International Center for Agriculture, with Pakistan's PARC and MU is expected soon to enhance joint research and innovation. Hussain praised Egypt's advancements in water management and wheat storage, areas Pakistan hopes to learn from to reduce significant post-harvest losses. Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli has said the North Coast has become a key part of Egyptian tourism. Traditionally focused on Cairo and southern archaeological sites, Egypt expanded its attractions with Red Sea resorts and major investments in the North Coast Mediterranean beaches. New cities like New Alamein and Ras Al Hikma are expected to further boost tourism growth. Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli has condemned the widespread use of downtown Cairo buildings as warehouses during a cabinet meeting. He called the trend unacceptable and highlighted the government's plan for a comprehensive redevelopment of the historic district. Originally designed in French and Italian styles under Khediri Ismail in the late 19th century, downtown Cairo boasts buildings rich in architectural and cultural heritage. However, years of neglect have led to deterioration, with many structures converted into schools, shops, hospitals or warehouses, undermining the area's historic character. Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli has announced that the Ministry of Housing will develop a special program to the Social Housing Fund to offer alternative housing units to tenants whose old rent contracts will expire in 7 years. These units will include various tenor options from renter to mortgage financing. Madbouli emphasized Egypt's capability to handle this transition smoothly, noting that the current law amendments will end long-standing law rent agreements requiring tenants to vacate units inherited from previous generations within 7 years, returning them to the owners. The public prosecution has formed specialized committees to inspect Ramses Exchange and nearby buildings following a deadly fire that killed 4 people and disrupted mobile networks and bank services across Egypt. The investigation included a full interior inspection of the building and documentation of fire damage. A tripartite engineering committee comprising experts from the Housing and Building National Research Center, Cairo University and Cairo Governorate was tasked with assessing the structural safety of the affected buildings. A separate committee of engineering professors is examining the servers, network systems and infrastructure for code compliance, while civil protection officials evaluate fire prevention measures and maintenance practices. Forensic experts are collecting evidence, including seizing surveillance footage related to the fire. Egypt's economy expanded by 4.77% in the third quarter of the 2024-2025 fiscal year, up from 2.2% last year. Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli highlighted that the growth signals a steady recovery despite global and regional challenges. Madbouli also confirmed that the 5th and 6th IMF loan program reviews will be combined due to delays in planned asset sales amid regional tensions. The central banks of Egypt and China have signed 3 memoranda of understanding to promote the use of the Chinese yuan and enhance electronic payment cooperation. One agreement involving Suez Canal Bank and China's CIPS aims to increase yuan use in the China-Egypt trade and economic cooperation zone. Additionally, Chinese UnionPay signed protocols signed protocols to improve Egypt's e-payments infrastructure and expand UnionPay card acceptance with local partners. The agreements highlight efforts to strengthen financial ties and digital payment integration between the two countries. The Central Bank of Egypt auctioned treasury bills totaling 80 billion Egyptian pounds in 2 tranches. The first tranche of 35 billion Egyptian pounds matures in 182 days on January the 13th, 2026, while the second tranche, also 35 billion Egyptian pounds, matures in 365 days on July 14, 2026. Earlier this month, the CBE issued debt instruments worth over 180 billion Egyptian pounds. Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli has announced that Egypt and the International Monetary Fund, IMF, have agreed to merge the program's 5th and 6th reviews, pushing them to late 2025. Madbouli emphasized that while Egypt has met all other IMF targets, such as currency flexibility, reserve accumulation, and fiscal discipline, privatization was deliberately delayed due to unfavorable market conditions. He reaffirmed Egypt's commitment to structural reforms under a $3 billion IMF loan, including reducing public spending and expanding private sector investment, while being a priority is economic stability and value preservation. Egypt plans to award 12 new gas exploration concessions to foreign companies in August, following strong interest in its latest bidding round. The blocks offered by the state-owned Egyptian Natural Gas Holding Company cover a total of 26,500 square kilometers across North and Northeast Egypt, including 5 offshore blocks in the East Mediterranean spanning 13,000 square kilometers. This move aims to boost hydrocarbon production and attract foreign investment. Egypt and the Japan International Cooperation Agency, GICA, are set to sign a final agreement in August, under which Japan will provide a grant to support the Suez Canal Authority's rescue fleet with a diving support vessel. Water SCA Chairman Osama Rabia discussed the deal with Japan's ambassador to Egypt and the GICA representatives, highlighting the strong ties and cooperation between Egypt and Japan. The agreement will be signed at the 9th Tokyo International Conference on African Development and followed by a technical agreement. Rabia emphasized the Suez Canal's continued navigation services despite regional challenges, while Ambassador IY praised Egypt's efforts in sustaining global trade and expressed hope for regional stability. That brings us to the end of our news bulletin. Here's what we have been covering. Egypt's President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi and her Chinese premier stressed the urgent need for a Gaza ceasefire and rapid humanitarian aid delivery. Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli says North Coast is now a key part of Egyptian tourism. Egypt and China's central bank signed 3 agreements to boost yuan use and improve electronic payment cooperation. That's all for now. Remember to stay updated by following Qnews for the latest developments.